KLC, the drum major, my professional name. Grew up uptown, Parkway, representing New Orleans, Louisiana, third ward. You heard me? Uh, that's pretty much it. Other than coming out here to Baton Rouge when No Limit Records decide to leave California to relocate in the city. Well, in Louisiana, they chose Baton Rouge instead of New Orleans. So that's what pretty much had me staying out here.
Backing up, I always ask people a lot about music in their family. I know your dad played saxophone, right?
Of course, how you knew that?
That's simple. So
Okay.
tell us about other people in your family. Was he the only big musician? Were there other people?
Well, as far as my mom did stage play, and she was like the one of those coordinators, and she also filled in on some spots. Like if one of them got sick, she knew it so well to where she was able to fill in, and you know, and that's what pretty much led me up to drums because I used to always go there because everything was live, and she like times I didn't go, she always used to bring me the broken drumsticks from the drummer, and that's what kind of got me with the drum thing.
And then your dad playing, did he play out of the house? Did he play sessions?
Uh, that my mom told me because I was real young, and my brothers told me that he was like mean on the sax. So evident, that's pretty much where my blood comes from as far as music, from my dad.
And then marching band. You were in marching band. That's really kind of
Yeah,
what you did a lot of in high school.
I marched in middle school at Samuel J. Green and James Durham Middle. James Durham was middle. Oh, junior high.
And I know you play some piano. Did you play any other instruments?
Um, as far as piano, I did more programming than playing. So what meaning that the difference is I can play a part, and as I'm playing it, I can play one part, and after I'm done with that part, I could go overlay it and put another part on top to where it sounds so big. But I left the playing to Moby and Odell.
Well, let's back up a little bit and go to Parkway. So you and Dart, you're still teenagers.
Hmm.
You combine your paychecks, right, to
Damn.
start Parkway. So your first thing that you did on that, was that the 3-9 debut? Was that the first release?
The first release that we've ever released was called Self-Titled 39 Posse. It was a black and red tape. It was just a black and red artwork, something that I did at school as like a project. We never had a logo. We just had the name, and we had a project because I did a commercial off for like 3 years at L.E. Rod Wayne, and I was always good with pencils as far as drawing, and we had a project of just designing something, and knowing that Dart and I was in music, I didn't have like we didn't have a logo, so I chose to do that, and I came up with that, and we ran with it.
I heard something about the first EP having a lot of people take issue with one of the lyrics or something, and it didn't go any further. And then, the full-length debut, that's the one with Ask the Hose and all those other ones.
Right.
But what happened with the first one? And was there an issue that people have with lyrics?
We had a song called "Pass the Snake," which during that time, trying to go by the books, it was the slogan that we used in one of the songs was something that Anheuser-Busch had called "Don't let the smooth taste fool you." So we try to just get it cleared, just trying to play by the books when we should have said, you know what, man, look, let's just do it. We sue it. If they sue us, we must be doing something. But we just try to play by the books, and we was local, so we still kind of ran with it. Never told them, but it was an issue to where we was always thinking that we was gonna go to that next step and just try to prevent if we get there let's try to do something so if they come at us, we'll be set and be secured and safe. But that was probably like one of the only things that we had, because we did call Anheuser-Busch and they was saying that no, not at all, you can't do it. But then I would say they was gonna sue us, but we were like, well, you know what? That's just because it was a big long debate about like, man, I think we should do it, and like, no, I don't think we should. So the I think we should do it, kind of outnumbered. I don't think so. So majority rules. So that's how it was within us.
And obviously, before this, you've been DJing and stuff. What was your first big DJ show that you remember? The first time you really.
Ooh, I opened up for Captain Charles, because Captain Charles is the reason why I do what I do today. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like my first out the gate touch of hip hop was DJing. I stayed on the Parkway. Captain Charles stayed on Delashay, right behind. As a matter of fact, his street was the back street of our house. So he was like the first DJ that I ever saw, like Technique 1200s. And then he had the Newmark with the big old rainbow mixer, the Newmark Rainbow, and that was like at that time like the hottest items of DJing. So he used to throw parties right on the back. And one time, he found out I DJ'd. He called me over and I watched him play. And he had this somewhere in a country town, and he took me with him, and he just let me just run the sets, like songs like the older records I wasn't familiar with. So as I was spinning, he was just handing me the records to play, like for the older crowd. So when it came down to the younger, he just let me cut loose. But he taught me like how and what records to play at certain times of an engagement, and I did a wedding reception with him. And that was like the biggest one, because it's something that I've never done. Doing a wedding reception is totally different from just a party. Because when you're doing a wedding reception, you have from 1 to 100 in age. So he started pulling out records even before the older records, after the older records. So I'm like saying, man, it don't make no sense. He said, look, just play what I give you, and I'm gonna handle the rest on the mic. So as I was playing it, as he was handing them to me, I'm spinning them, and he just emceeing the crowd, and it was like, and that's when I started understanding about DJing for the different age masses of people. So I have a lot to thank for to Captain Charles for my career, like right now. Because if it wasn't for him, um, I don't know what part of music I would be in. You know.
Were you really just kind of putting one step in front of the other during this process, and really, did you have? You were trying to do music full time, obviously, but did you really, you didn't want to do anything else? You're gonna make it no matter what, or is it something that you just got a lot of success and got encouraged and encouraged and encouraged?
Well, at that time, like when I really branched out and really started DJing, it was like I met this guy on the West Bank, um, named Stormin Norman, and he was like, he had more equipment than every DJ in the city put together. And it just so happened that I was introduced. I forgot who introduced me to Stormin. No, he used to DJ at some of the dances I used to go to, and I went there one time and I just asked him to let me get on, and he let me get on. So once I got on, he heard me playing, so he kind of just took me on his wing, and that led up to me just you know because he used to book at least 3 or 4 gigs a night, so he didn't have the DJs to accommodate the venues he was booking. So he put me on one, and I did pretty well, and it led up to that, and things happened with him, and I kind of came on my own, and I hooked up with like Will and Moose Shack, which became another member of 39 Posse, and we used to DJ. Like we had pretty much every school uptown set up, as far as Booker T, Cohen, Fauché, and that kind of just had me like generating money, you know what I'm saying, and so when that started coming in, everything was, which during that time, the money that we was making was pretty much nothing that we could take and spend because by us having our own equipment after each gig, something was blown, needle was broke, so it all had to go back into, had to invest back into the company. And Captain Charles came, and I got the gig at Claude Rumors. That's when everything really started kicking in. As far as me generating some money for me, to where I didn't have to worry about if any equipment broke. It was on the club, and whatever happened was on the club, and I still get my pay for spinning. And that's pretty much where it all comes in. So Captain Charles, he pretty much got me my first job of just DJing. Period. Every step and phase of my DJ career, Captain Charles always put me in a spot of the step up. And that's where I was able to, the records at the time was I was producing them, and as I'm producing them and making them, I'm taking them straight to the club. And then Rumors was the hottest club, so me breaking records, especially my own, wasn't even an issue. So that's and that's where it pretty much played in as far how I pretty much upped my game as a DJ.
And a lot of the records that you were selling at that time, I mean, you had a little team that was selling like out of trunks, right? Like, playing in the club and selling the product that way, but you're still running like
Right.
numbers doing it.
I know Get the Gat was like the ultimate record that we sold out the trunk. I remember like we had like 5 tape decks just stacked on just looping in and out of one another. And as I'm printing them, we recorded the song on, what I'm saying, we had it set to that. So as I'm recording them, they going out to Big Man, Streamlines, all of the bounce clubs, flirts across the river. So, we was doing that, and as they was coming, I was just printing them. We had one person making a run to get blanks. The other one's out there selling. And because Get the Gat took off unexpected, you know what I'm saying? It just like once it got in the hand of a DJ, that was a wrap. It just spread it. And then like a lot of the local artists, like Juvenile, Jimmy, they just started talking about the record. So by word of mouth, it became a big old record, and we just went on and made enough money from out the trunk to actually press up some to put them in the stores on consignment.
Soldier for Life. When we talked to Six Shot, he was telling us that his first show that he could remember was upstairs in Magnolia Project with Soldier Slim. Around that time, when Soldier for Life came out, how was that received publicly? Was it crazy? Was it over the top when it first came out? Did it take some time for it to build momentum?
Well, it's like when Slim Ball shot to me, and when Slim Ball shot to me, I remember that when I first met Slim, I was DJing in a Magnolia on the second tier. And that's when Slim, he really wasn't show off just like rapping period, because, he used to bounce. But, we was up in there, I was spinning, Slim grabbed the mic, and the thing about it was when he grabbed the mic, he started rapping, but when he started rapping, he ducked down, so nobody can see him like by the table, and he was doing his thing. So everybody jamming, but they knew it was live. So they just looking around to see where it's coming from. And so while he was doing it, I just pulled him up, and they saw it was Slim. So pretty much it was his project first of all. And he just started rocking and then rocking and then rocking it. So I finally told him, like, look, come by me, come on the base, come to the basement, and we gonna start recording some studio records. And one of the first songs we did was a song called Kicking It For Them Hoes. And that was like the beginning of that Soldier for Life album. But Slim always did gangster shit though. But it was just like he was known for bouncing first, but I always knew that, he did gangster, but it's just He was like one of the only one. Even his bounce record was a gangster record, but it was like that. And so that's the one. When we got that, it just got out there, and Slim became who Slim was. Because Slim was all about look funky beat. Because that's what he used to call me. Look, man, look, I gotta be out here in these streets, man. I gotta get me, get me. Boom, boom. I'm like, okay, we just take some time out and come record. Because Slim used to cut hair too. He cut like pretty much everybody hair. So like when I used to go by him, get lined up and cut, we'll just talk about songs and this and that. And then he'll go out there in the streets and do what he do, and he made time for the studio. So we just getting in there and recording. And we recorded one of the songs. The name of the song originally was A Minute and Six, but people know it called I Want You Got It. That's when he bought Shot Around, and we did the remix and put Six Shot on it. And it wind up on the Down South Hustler that I did with P.
Well, that begs the question, how much do you gear your production to different artists? I mean, you can usually tell it's you, right? You have a definable sound, even though you produce a really wide range of stuff.
Right.
But how much do you gear to every specific artist? I mean, because the stuff you did for Slim is so much different than the stuff you did for Mystical or Me X or other people. And they all sound like themselves when you're doing it, but it's still specifically you. How much do you produce something, think of an artist, have them in mind when you're doing it, and how much does all that work?
See, it's different the way things are now opposed to how we did it then, because when we did records then, the artist and the producer was in the studio. So it wasn't like right now I just do some beats and just send them to somebody and they'll just listen to it and just write to the beat. But when we was in studio, like Mystical was in the service. So every time he came home, we got in. So in those times, our artist really never needed a beat to write. So he'll come to me with ideas already written, if it's no more than a hook. So he'll run that to me. So as he, rapping and doing the hook to me, I'm making the beat as he go. So that's why it sound like the stuff that I did for him fitted him so well. Slim did the same thing. And every artist that I ever did, from Slim to Shot to Mystical to Serve On, to everybody else, it's like that's just how it was. That's why, like right now, if you hear a lot of the songs that I've done for people, it just fit so much because it wasn't that I just gave them the beat and they took it home. It's like we got in there, they ran their ideas, and as they running it to me, I'm putting it in my head to make what they rapped it to me. So that beat will fit that rap to the T so much, to where it's just so tight.
I mean, you have a huge career, decades of work, and so we try to focus on the earlier stuff because it's not, as well
Right.
told as the older stuff. So I'm gonna get there, but I'm still gonna ask a few questions about the early stuff. MCJ Roger,
Ooh.
can you talk about that a little bit? Nobody ever talks about that.
J. was a man. That dude there, he was a real good friend of mine. And you cannot forget JMK, which was his DJ. JMK dude, like he doing film now, but that was the first record that I've seen from rap on a 45. Me and J. had a chance to work, but J. really wasn't like my artist, like how Slim, Mystical, Serve On, Hound, and 3-9, and all of those people. Like it just we knew each other, but we had a work relationship. JMK was really like his DJ and his sort of producer, but J had the equipment. He had the SP 1200. You know what I'm saying? He had the board. He had 808. So he had all of this his stuff, and then just the fact that at that time, getting that kind of equipment wasn't normal. You couldn't get that. Like he had a good paying job. I think J. used to work for BFI, so he had a good job. He had all the good equipment. So that's what kind of drew me to like working with him. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be able to get to touch some of the stuff that everybody talking about that's what's needed to make records. And so we clicked. We did a few things but it was never put out. And we just build a work relationship, and you know, but it was really me and J-Ro J, his DJ, really clicked since then, because I was the one, I bought his. As a matter of fact, I traded my gold chain for his drum machine. Yeah, that one right there behind you. Same one I did about it. Make them say, down for my niggas. You name my biggest records, they came off that. That's when you had to like program beats. It wasn't like you really had to know how to do that like step right. And that's, you bring step right to the producers today, they'll be like, man, what you talking about? You see, that came in an era of you had to like read to know this, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's where for me and J-Ro J, and it was more of JMK than J-Ro J, but we was all in.
Tell us about Bobby Marchand.
Oh, Bobby Marchand was every artist in the city manager. I'm gonna tell you a story about Bobby Marchand.
Please do.
When we first got popping, because Tim Smoot and Bust Down was mad because Bobby Marchand bought us a van and they didn't get one. But it was just the fact that at the time we was like the only label that had that DJ and had a label and a studio. So, and then at that time, Get the Gap was the hottest record on the street. So Bobby Marchand used to book both of us, like wherever we went, wherever 3-9 went, Lil Elk went. Lil Elk and DJ T. So when we got this record hot, Bobby Marchand called us, and he was talking about he wanted to manage us. We were like, nope, we don't need it. This and this and this and this. So we trying to figure out, how can we have one of the hottest records in the streets and not have any shows? You know what I'm saying? So Bobby Marchand kept calling us. So, any given time if somebody keep knocking, you're going to eventually answer. So he called us and he said, I want y'all to come to my office. I want to sit down and talk about whatever, right? So, and one thing about business is, if you know the fact that you know you're not going to deal with somebody, always be open just to see what they have to say. Even if you know you're not going to deal with them, still take the meeting. So it led up to that, so we took the meeting. So Bobby Marchand, he sat down, we talked about 30 minutes, and he said what he was able to do. So when we committed to it, the next day, Bobby Marchand had us booked for 2 months. Song got on the radio. And the thing about it was, he will bring his own money to the show. So if the show don't sell, he's still going to pay us out his pocket of what we get paid. So we've never taken a loss on the show, as far like at that time, artists was being paid off the door. So if the show didn't make no money, you only get a little bit what was there. But Bobby, what we was asking for, which he was setting the price for us. So, if we go at the time, and because we were just traveling the little country towns or whatever, and he'll sit at the door, he'll collect. Bobby bought his own band from the Bobby Marchand talent shows and all of that. They did the sound, and if the show didn't do well, what he booked us for, he would have it anyway. So if not one person came, we was getting paid in full.
How did he get to be where he was? He was just so well connected. And
man, let me tell you something. When I told my mama, I said, "Ma, this man named Bobby Marchand managing us." My mama said, "Who?" She said, "Do you know who Bobby Marchand is?" I said, "No." She said, "Boy, you just don't understand." Like Bobby Marchand, like he was. When my mama told me about the song that he's done, it didn't register to me because I wasn't into that. But when my aunties and all of them found out, it was like some big old thing, like, "Oh, Bobby Morshan managing you." You know, it just like it didn't set into me because I never knew who he was. But later on, I found out, and then after I found out the connections because that's when we just learned sampling, and a lot of the people that we used to sample from, Bobby knew, so he'll put in a phone call. Yeah, such these my artists, and they heard the song, they want to do this and do that to it, and they on the phone like he got us on speakerphone and say, "Oh, Bobby, you know anything you need? If they want to do it, you know, just they're welcome to it." And then you know, we'll get the business of it straight later. To where I'm like, man, you know, it's called such. You know what I'm saying? So like, wow, that's when I really seen, other than his name, I saw his power that he had just within, you know, being local at home. You know what I'm saying? So, because I really never looked at even the thought of Bobby being like a big old national artist. You know, it just whatever my mama told me at the house. You know, like that's Bobby Moshane. So, and that's when like when Bobby did that, and when we signed with him, and the day we signed, he got our songs on the radio and had us booked for like shows that just like lined up. The next day he called us with everything lined up. Bobby managed every artist in the city of New Orleans at that time with us. If it was a label, X Cash Money, X Big Boy, anybody that was a big label back then, you had to go through that man, hands down. There was no way getting around him. And that's the truth.
So from 91 to like 95 or so, you know, there's this big bounce explosion. What was it like in the city? I mean, did it just, was bounce really the only thing that was played in the clubs? It was just the hottest thing and that was the main thing? Were there other things that were influencing it? What was going on?
At that time, the only thing that even was big in New Orleans other than bounce was Luke Skywalker, Too Short, and Spice One. Other than that, you know, bounce always ruled the city. Even today, nothing outdid bounce. Period. I've been in a lot of places. New Orleans and Baton Rouge is the hardest places to please because they tie on to what they listen to. Anything else is extra. And from 91 to 95, it just that's when it really just like kicked in because that's when like, oh my goodness, it's you had Jubilee, you had Partners in Crime, you had Juvenile, you had Tucker, you had Jimmy. Man, it was just so it was Bounce was like real competitive. Like you had to be on it. You know what I'm saying? So it was, and that was the era to where um when you did a bounce record, you had to do a bounce record. It was like you getting it in. So it wasn't like when you know the way bounce music is done today is pretty much lean on how much the producer gonna be or how much he's gonna put into a record. But like right now, like Juvenile, like can you imagine Juvenile? He wrote Jimmy entire record, his bounce records. So you know, Juvenile, like he was like writing bounce records. You know, like if you to sit down and get Neo write a record for Beyonce, Juvie was doing that for Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? And but it was like 91 to 95. Like that's the era of classic bounce music, to where what everybody is sampling now, and what they're taking from is coming from that era. Because you gotta understand, like with No Limit and Cash Money, like we made like the ultimate club music just from the city of New Orleans. Like we made true get in and get it in club music, to where anything that we do once it come on, you would definitely hit the floor. Period. There's no way of getting around or not getting on the floor of music. We made club music to where it was more about you have to make the people from New Orleans, you have to make the people move before they even gonna think about hearing what you're saying. So
With No Limit then, when Beats by the Pound was assembled, I know Odell came in as a singer, right? He didn't
Right.
do anything else. And then Moby was the one who kind of could do lots of different stuff. He did more of the drums, just what you guys are better at.
Hmm.
And then Craig did a lot of like the bass lines and stuff. Was that it?
Well, in Beast by the Pound, each one of us had our strengths. We always able to do everything, but it was certain things that we were strong at. Like my strength, if we were to do a Beast by the Pound song and we produce it as a whole, I would do the drums. Craig B would do the bass line. Um, Odell would do the strings, and Moby, he was a chameleon to where like he would put something in a record that didn't make no sense, but if you take it out, it's missing. You really can't. But he was probably the most talented out of all of us. He was the only one that can pretty much do everything. Like you know, as far as man, you really can't. I don't even know how to classify this dude, man. It's Moby, bro. Moby is he one of a kind. You just can't put a stamp on him. It's like you just throw him in the game and he gonna make a way to make it happen. But Odell was like the fingers, like he'll get in, and that's what I was telling you earlier about programming and playing. Odell was somebody you put him on a song, he'll play through an entire record, just fingering it out. And he was the fingers. Craig B, man, look, if we needed a bass line, man, you gotta throw that to him. You know what I'm saying? Drums, they'll hand it to me. And that was like how it came, but how the whole Beast by the Pound situation set was we was in Oakland. That's when we first got with P. And I went up there for a year. And that's when my oldest daughter was born. So and it always came around a time to where it always happened around Christmas. So we went up there. I wasn't tripping on going me because my whole point was Serve knew C Murder. We met P at the Jack the Rapper. As a matter of fact, the very last Jack the Rapper convention. We went up there. Serve saw C. C was with P. P went to New Orleans and bought an EXD CD that I produced, and he asked Serve, "Man, do you know the dude who made the beats on here?" So Serve started laughing, and Serve was like, "He did that." He like, "For real?" He was like, "Man, I want to invite y'all to come up to California to Oakland." You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, "Man, look." I'm like, we'll see, you know what I'm saying? So after that, we did what we did. We came back. My set back in Rumors DJing, and just so happened that at Rumors we had pajama nights. P came there. So the owner of the club like, yeah, they got some people downstairs looking for you. It's about 12 of them and this and that. So I went downstairs and it was them. I'm like, man, these my people from California, let them in. So he came up and he was like, man, I invited you to come to Oakland, man. What happened? Why didn't they come? I'm like, man, I was in court, man. I couldn't deal with all that. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, whenever, you ready to come, just let me know because I have serving me an ex coming. So my point was like, well, I've never been to California before, period. And so I just took the pit. I took the whole situation just to go there, just to go to California. So when I got there, it just so happened that he had jackets made with all the names on it. That's when Lexus first started popping off. He had one, so he picking us up, showing us around, introducing us to like E40, Too Short, EA Ski, because he knew all of them back then. And these are people that I'm spinning their records. So he knew them, so that kind of threw a pitch on me. Like, all right, a little something, this and that. So he asked me and Sir one time, man, y'all tripping on Christmas? Sir was like, man, look, if it's gonna make something happen, I'm willing to stay. I just need something to send back to my kids and this and that. So he kicked us a few dollars out. We send that back. Before you know it, we stay in Oakland for a year. And but when we got up there and got with him, everything was set. Like he was like gonna be this A1 dude. He was like everybody was gonna be straight. And the thing about it is just that that's how it was when we first started dealing with P. And like when he didn't have the money that he have now, he was more giving. But you know how things come in when you seeing, when you sold like 30 million records in 1 year, you seeing checks like that. They go to kicking in street mentality, kicking in. Then the people that were surrounded, man, it was just more of like the more people that came in, it kind of broke the bond of how close we was. And it was just, he had his dreams on wanting to be a basketball player too, so broke chemistry. So a lot of things just kind of went that way. Don't believe it was about the money though, because it definitely wasn't. Money had zero to do with it. Period.
When you guys came back to New Orleans, where was the No Limit studio or the No Limit office? Where was that?
The No Limit office was like it was in Baton Rouge, but it was right off College Drive on uh it was right off College. And it was the office that they found. Pretty much the entire office was probably the size of this room and that room. But it was kind of sectioned off to where probably a little bit bigger though because we had two rooms. So he decided to pull the company there because he was like, if we put the company in New Orleans, work won't get done. Too much going on in the city. So he decided to reside it and put it in Baton Rouge. It was kind of it was, then because it was close to an hour away, and and it's easy to get back and forth from there. We had to go back, so this way he decided to put it, and everything was all in the studio. The office was all in one building, one spot.
And how often, when like you said before, you're making songs in conjunction with artists who were in the same studio. How often did you make beats, just extra beats that you would then think of to give to other people, or were you always at that time working one-on-one with artists?
Well, at that time, truthfully, it's like it was a lot of people that we wanted to work with, but Buzz having our commitment to the company, which was by default, um, because there are a lot of people calling, but it wasn't getting back to us. We didn't find out that until we left, and all of these people were saying, "Man, we kept calling up there, man, we wanted to work with y'all and this and this." Because I ran into Jermaine Dupri at the Source Awards, and he was like, "Man, I've been calling P, man, I've been trying to get at y'all to get some beats, man. Pete told me y'all charging like 200,000. I say, "What?" And he was working on a Brett. I'm like, "Man, don't you know I have an album coming out and I'm trying to get the Brett on my record?" Like, "Man, that's not what your man was telling me and this and this." I'm like, "Man, look, I ought to give you a beat for a feature." You know what I'm saying? But these are things that when we met these people, we never knew that these people was calling. They were just pretty much more of, um, if he decided to do a song with somebody or for somebody, that's when we'll do the beat, he'll rap on it, and we'll give him the record. But as far as like if any outside artist calling for something, that won't happen. The only way that would happen is if he was part of it on it as a feature.
Well, from the outside, it looks like you all didn't even know that you were as big as you were. That's just how it looks like from the outside. I mean, it looks like you were making so many records so quickly that A, you couldn't really enjoy it, and B, of course you knew, but you didn't really know how big you were. It was so isolated. Was that kind of how it was, or was it different?
I still feel like, nah. You gotta understand that when we was producing all of these records, the producers, you gotta understand when the artists record their album and it's done, we don't have to see them until next year. But by us having that roster is like in '98 we produced and released a record every 2 weeks for an entire year. So as we producing these records, we don't have the time to see how they play out in the clubs because we was always at work. We was always at work. until like after we left, we'll probably just go in the club and they'll just throw on a record and like so this what we doing, this what they do to these people. You know what I'm saying? So that's when we really started to see how things pretty much how big we were. But what really kicked it off was when Beast by the Pound made the Power 30. Now when we saw that pretty much kind of like, man, and what was so bad about it is like when we was in there, it was like he wasn't happy to see us in there. You know what I'm saying? And that was the thing, like how you not even want, your producers, all the work that we put in. Because you gotta understand that P, what he did was he sat down and strategized, but he had not strategized. He sat down there and gave thought to who was gonna come out that year. So after he figured out who was gonna come out that year and this, he just handed up paper and like, y'all gotta meet these release dates with the production. And that was it. You know what I'm saying? So um we really never enjoyed when No Limit was at the height of things. At least the producers didn't. You know what I'm saying? Um, because it was to a point to where when I bought my home, I didn't put no furniture in there for at least 2 years. I had a studio in there. But furniture, I wasn't there to enjoy it. Same with me, same with Craig B, same with Moby, same with Odell. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of things that we had, we couldn't enjoy. The only thing that we really had the chance to really get into is like when we got our cars, but we had to get to work. You know what I'm saying? That was evident. You know what I'm saying? So it was just smooth, man. Is that time we really did not get to enjoy our music when we was at the peak. We enjoyed it one time. One time I remember is when Good and Mop came to the House of Blues. They saw it there and they shouted us out big. We got Beats by the Pound in the house. CeeLo said that. I'm like, boy, you heard that? You know what I'm saying? Like, they know. And us and Good and Mob became real close and we talked. We stayed in contact from then till now. Gip, CeeLo, Timo, Cujo Goody, like we family, you know what I'm saying? So, but we really didn't, as producers, enjoying the stuff we did, we really never had no highlighted moments. I kind of felt bad too because I'm seeing Fresh out there on TV and Fresh getting it and boy, he all over the screen. But it wasn't the fact that he was there because I see a camera and run from it. It's rare that you'll find an interview on me, but you look at Odell and Moby, it was like artists. They needed that. So but it became an issue when some of the reviews on the album started coming out and they put, depending on the artist, they put the production as a thing that was carrying the weight for the label. And when he saw that, it kind of just started, you started kind of seeing things changing. There's nothing that we asked for. What you expect? You got some of the best producers on the planet right now. So how you not be happy with that? Just because they getting a little shine and a lot of the interviews that we getting and some of the reviews is kind of putting the shoulders on the weight of us. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, come on, man, it can't be that serious. How much more you want us to do? And his job, he really didn't have a hard. I'm not gonna say his job was hard because one thing he did get he did get it in. But you got to understand, like Mystical, Serve On, Slim, Hound. Those was my artists. Like when we had the label, they were signed to me. When I went to P, I bought them with me. Fiend, me and P was about to getting a fist fight behind that because Fiend came up just wanted to talk to Tavesta about management. I bought Soulja Slim up in there. He talking about, man, I'm telling you gonna bring this dude up here, man. Man, look, I say, P, that boy ain't nothing to play with. Don't think if I bring him up here, you just gonna be talking crazy to him. You know what I'm saying? Then couple of people had to amen that to P. Boy, I'm telling you. So when P finally got to meet Slim, he loved to be like, boy, I got my own Tupac. That's how Slim was. But even when P took him in, Slim talking crazy to him, you know what I'm saying? Like, Slim just didn't care. He was like, man, you do right, you're going to get right. You know what I'm saying? But you got to understand, like, all of them is like, when P took me in, his pretty much roster was full. He got Mac, he got Fiend, he got Mystical, he got Serve On, he got Soulja Slim, which Serve was the one that told P about me, because Serve told P that the only way he coming is if I come with him. You know what I'm saying? So, when he took me in, it's nothing that he really had to look for as far as an artist. But he decided to take all of the other stuff in, and that was pretty much him.
Was it crazy when Snoop came?
Ooh, man, when Snoop came, it's like I wasn't nervous about Snoop coming. I was pretty much nervous behind what I hear about how Dr. Dre worked, like his being so much for perfectionist, you know what I'm saying? And at the time, even now, like Dre, he's considered the greatest hip hop ever and greatest producer of hip hop, period. So when Snoop came, I'm thinking like, all the expectations is gonna be through the roof of recording this man. So one time, the very first song I recorded that I can remember was him and Soulja Slim. They had a song called At the Same Time, because they both came to No Limit at the same time. So that's what they decided to call it. So we was in the studio. So when Snoop finally decided, to get up and after he finished pinning it up, I got behind the board. Snoop got in the booth. So 5 minutes went by without nothing being said. So I'm just waiting for him to tell me some things of how he worked dealing with Drake. So all I hear is, "Hey nephew, I'm waiting on you. Just tell me what to do." I'm like, "That's it?" He said, "Yeah, man, let's go and get this thing in, man." You know what I'm saying? So look, I would come in after this. So once I hit record and he started running, I just felt all that just came up off me, because it just let me know that Snoop was still a student. You know what I'm saying? Snoop let a producer do his job. He don't get in the way. Snoop want to just come in, do his part as an artist, and let a producer produce him. You know what I'm saying? And like when me and him sat down and we talked about the situation about the Dre thing, he just let me know, man, like Dre had everything in his hands. He just like, nephew, I went up in there and I had my song ready, and Dre just coached me in on how to deliver it and say this and say that, boom, 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 and that was it. Like everything was on Dre. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's what he pretty much expected. Like he said, it was my beat. Like, nephew, it's your beat. You know how you want me to sound on it. So just as I run it, if you don't hear something, just stop me. Get it right. You tell me how you want it to sound. I'm like, oh, okay, that easy. Well, so after, a few songs of them came in, I felt that off my shoulder. And then this other record had to kick in. Boy, look, when we did it Down for My Niggas record, you talking about a record that was experienced to deal with. Man, look, the same record that's on Kanye record right now. That record, I did that record in 99, so it's 13. From 99 to 2009, it's 10. That record 13 years old. And I remember I was in the studio recording. As a matter of fact, I was just in there just chopping up records. C Murder called me. Man, you hear this on TV talking all of that. Man, look, I'm on my way. Have me a beat ready and call Magic. So the time it took him to get off the phone and get to the studio, I was done with the beat. But the point is, as I was making that beat, it wasn't even registering. I was just hitting buttons. Whatever sound to me, whatever sound good to me, I was just hitting it. You know what I'm saying? And then I just came up with the pattern of the horns, did the drums. So by the time he came in, I played the beat, and he heard it, and he just went in, did the hook. He laid the hook. Magic showed up. Boy, after that song was finished, I remember I called Snoop. I'm in Baton Rouge, calling LA. Phone rung. Snoop. What's up, nephew? I said, boy, I'm about to give you the hardest song on your album. I said, I don't know that, nephew. Dr. Dre gave me some banging shit, nephew. I say, Snoop, I didn't say I was going to have the most banging song on your album. I say, Snoop, I'm going to have the hardest song on your album. And like, why? I say, he said, just come on. I say, I'll be there in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So when we got there, before I left, I called Silk. I say, Silk, boy, I got this record, boy, you got to get on it. He said, for real? I'm like, boy, it's one of them records. So Silk picked us up from the airport. I had it on cassette. I played it for Silk when we got in. Boy, it came on. Silk said, boy, dude, man, call me when you get a hit. I'm like, what? Call you when I'm like, man, do you hit this record? Dude, call me when you get a hit, dude. So we get to LA. We go straight to the studio from the airport. Snoop already in there. Because Snoop had to lay his part on a symphony record. I redid the symphony. So after we finished recording the symphony record, I was like, Snoop, I got this one more record I was telling you about. He said, nephew, we get that done tomorrow. See, when he said that, I knew he was ready to go. So I said, let me at least put it on tape for you. So he said, okay. So man, I made that tapes in. I threw all the faders up on the board. That beat came on. Dun 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 dun. Man, when that beat dropped, zoof, they went to crip walking, and one of them told Snoop, you about to do this tonight, cuz I ain't worrying about tomorrow. You doing this tonight. They told, it was a couple of crips say, you doing this record tonight. So Snoop got in that corner. Snoop laid his verse. Boy, after he laid his verse, they heard it. They said, man, Snoop, let me tell you something. If you sit up here and put this out, knowing that we shoot all our moves and videos in California, we'll be warned every day. They made Snoop change his verse. When Snoop said on that record, boy, I just don't even, I don't even get into it. So Snoop he went on and just kind of watered it up, you know what I'm saying? But goodness, that's something that I don't want it to get in the street, especially right now with not all of this is at peace. It'll never get heard. I would never destroy the tapes though, but I never put it out there.
A story about Mr. Magic that we might not have heard.
Man, me, Mr. Magic, and his mom and my mama was real. As a matter of fact, the stage play I was telling you about, my mom and his mama, they used to work there together. So we've been knowing each other since I stayed in the Melpomene. That's how long they go back. I remember just used to bring them over there, and me and Magic, we knew each other when we didn't know each other, but our moms was real close, like they were jam tight. So it was just more with Magic and I when we found out that was you used to come by the house because we were small, we used to play together, but at that time it never registered that you know it was him or we knew each other, but it's something that came about and me and him was together and our moms was together too and their mom was talking this and that. I'm like, hey, well, you don't remember when we used to go on the project? You know what I'm saying? Just talking about it. I never knew it was him because we was young. So we've been knowing each other all this time and didn't even know it because when Magic came, C Murder brought him in as his artist. So it wasn't like he really came to No Limit because C started this label. Magic was like his artist. And when he came in, it was still like all in one, you know what I'm saying? So, but it just that moment, man, when Magic wrote his verse on that Down for My Niggas record, it was like C opened it up, Magic set the tone, and Magic he was definitely a comedian. Everybody on No Limit had a sense of humor of comedy, you know what I'm saying? But it was like when the things got thick, when they got real, they got real. But among us, you know what I'm saying, is that we had our fun doing it. But Magic, it was like, first of all, Magic is probably like the first biggest artist from downtown Ninth Ward that really exploded. You know what I'm saying? Other than um that really made a real big name national wise. But they had artists before him that did their thing. But downtown, what Magic from was they was big on DJs before artists. You know, because they was always considered like when we came up that the downtown had better DJs than uptown. But as far as artist wise, Magic he pretty much put the Ninth Ward on the map on a global level than any artist from the Ninth Ward. But he wasn't the first, but he was the one that made it be known. Like Puff Daddy started Bling, but Baby showed you how to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's how it was with Magic. Like they had artists that came from the Ninth Ward, but Magic represented it on the globe.
Are we okay with the tape? I gotta check how much time's left. Favorite songs of yours, and tell us the process, how you made them. Do you have favorites? Are they hard to pick?
Ooh. The most interesting story of any song that I've ever done?
2 minutes. So we were talking about if you can pick favorite songs of yours, and tell us how you made them.
I spoke upon like how the Down for My Nigga song happened. But About It was probably the story that more pop your eyes open. Because it's like About It pretty much turned out it was a 60-second commercial that P did for Wild Wayne, which was originally supposed to be a song for Mr. Serv-On that Hound wrote called Bucking Like a Winchester. But the beat, put it like this. When I did that record, when I was working on the beat, I had like the music part, all the strings and the synths and all of that, but I didn't have the drums. So I had the drum machine in record mode, just trying to think about what I'm gonna do with the drums. So while the drum machine is in loop mode and record, everything playing, and it was pretty much like right here is where the keyboards was, and right here is where the drum machine was. So I was turned kind of this way. So my back was kind of towards the drum machine. And while I'm just behind the board listening, my daughter at that time, she was probably about 2. She came down and just started slapping the pads on the drum machine. So I whipped her, sent her upstairs, and before you know it, that was the drums for About It. Cause she used to always see me just hitting the machine. So while my back was turned, you know what I'm saying, like it was like I said, it was in record. She just came downstairs, me unknowing it, and she just started hitting the drum machine because she used to always see me do it. Before you know it, What she did was actually put the drums in the beat. You know what I'm saying? And that's how that record about it became, as far as, her whole part in the record itself. Like, she did the drums on that record.
Are any of your kids musicians?
My son, he played violin, but he stopped, you know. But it's just, I don't know what it was, but it was a class that he took. Cause at that time you think kids a violin, that's just not a cool instrument. But it took for him to see some guys on TV dressed straight from the hood, you know what I'm saying, like this here, hat cocked to the side, Jordans on, playing the violin. So he kind of saw it appealing. And before you know it, he told me that he wanted to play violin. I have some of it on film too. I'll find it and get it to you.
Great. You've done some. You've sampled, obviously, marching band and brass band have been really influential too, and you sampled some Rebirth, I think, Lay That Pipe Down, and a few others.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how specifically has brass band and marching band influenced you? Besides the snares and hi-hats and stuff that you use so prominently, what else?
If you listen to every song that I've done, it just, I don't know, it have to be just something in New Orleans. It's like a brass band. You know what I'm saying? Other than the drums. Now, if you break a brass band down to where the tuba will be the bass guitar, the trumpet will be the lead. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just in you, because my whole style of music is based on suspense. Like, if you listen to any record that I've done, the way it start off, it sounds like something is about to happen. And horns and strings bring suspense to anything in music. Look at a horror movie to where if you could tell if something is about to happen, you're gonna hear strings in any horror movie. And that's how it always was. It's just that the horns always came from, I guess, a brass influence from the city. You know what I'm saying? And it just, those two elements is something that will always be in anything that I do, because those are two instruments that'll grab your attention quick, off top. And I've always been stuck with those two instruments. Which my daddy plays sax, so it's all in the brass section. So.
One of my favorite songs of yours is "They Kicked Out" from MC Murder. Can you talk about that?
Oh, that was the first time I ever had to do a beat with Pimp C. Man, that record, that was like, because I bought and I listened to so much Pimp C stuff, and when we did that record, I pretty much stepped back, you know what I'm saying, and let Pimp C do what he do. And Pimp C was probably, that I've known, that's outside of Beats by the Pound, was very unselfish, to where he didn't want to take and dominate the whole production of the record. You know what I'm saying? To where he did enough on it to leave room for everybody else to get on the record. But it's just the fact that I played the player and Pimp C was the coach. He didn't tell me what to do. He just basically said what was needed. You know what I'm saying? So Pimp listened to our stuff, and he knew that I was on the drums. So he was like, "Kel, put some drums up in there. You do your thing, but put it on this part and like this and like that." So it was, you know what I'm saying? And like, I pretty much did what I do, but he coached me what to do. You know what I'm saying? And it just working, and that go the same with when we all did that record. That was just my part of doing it, because I think Moby and I think Craig B had something to do with that record too. But just the fact that when we did that record, just being in the studio with Pimp C, like I was saying, like when artists just get in the studio with the producer and make the record, it was like you have all these producers that we didn't get in the way of each other, You know, we knew that just the fact that Pimp was like he'd been producing way before me. But just the fact that out of seniority, we followed his lead. But we still do what we've done. I've learned a lot of techniques and mixing from Pimp C from that session. Um, because Pimp C was like one of the first ones to where like I've seen do like he'll do a lead and he'll do two ad libs. Because you gotta understand, during that time at No Limit, we really didn't do ad libs dealing with P because P used to freestyle all his raps. So he couldn't do an ad lib because he'd never remember what he said. So when Pimp went up there and did his verse, he did a lead and he did two ad libs, or I think two dubs. So he said, take that lead, point it straight up. The two dubs, the ad lib, pan them all the way to the left. So when I did that, I was about to put an effect on it. And he said, don't do that. He said, turn this up this much. And he said the two leads and the ad lib, just turn them down a little bit and pan them all the way. So when he did that and I listened to it, that was like an effect itself. So like, man, I would have never thought of that. You know what I'm saying? So that a Kick Though record is like that was probably by far like my one of my most memorable records. Just the fact that I was being coached by Pimp C on doing that record. And that was it as far as that one.
What about, this will be my final question, unless you want to talk about other stuff, and we'll switch to the smoking section stuff. What is it about the New Orleans sound, do you think, that's been so influential on Southern hip-hop in general, and then, obviously national and international, but just speaking of the South first, how has it been so influential?
New Orleans makes ultimate club music. And like we make a club record, everything in it is gonna take you to the floor. Because one thing about making New Orleans music, if you listen to any big New Orleans record from hip hop that was ever put out there that made a difference, it was off our lingo about how we speak. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that people just be fascinated by, about how we sound when we talk and the slangs that we use. And see, all of that is within our music. You know what I'm saying? So first of all, they could give a less about what's being said on a record. First of all, you got to make a move. And then after you get a move, they going to want to hear, like what you saying on the record. They want to hear the hook first. Because, like I said, by the way we speak, our hooks is always like when you hear it, it's just like you don't have to hear it a bunch of times to remember it. You could just hear it one time. It could be sometimes repetitive, but the fact is, it's something like when you hear it, because one time I was working on a record for my record when Lil Jon came to my house and I played the record for him. He was like, damn, why I didn't think of that? Like, you not from here. How you gonna think of that, Lil Jon? You not even from the city. You right. You know what I'm saying? But it was just the fact that it's just when we put our everyday talk on beats. So when people hear that, they basically hear how we speak. We're not gonna get up there and just write a hook and a melody. Nah, we spitting our language and our slangs on beats. That's why when people hear it, it's just so easy to catch. You know what I'm saying? You listen to all of the records, even the bounce records. You know what I'm saying? You listen to that ball record with T.I. have. That's UNLV Bow. You know what I'm saying? They have like 4 elements of a bounce record in that one record. Let alone a Trigger Man alone. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's just that easy. You know what I'm saying? Our music, and the thing about it, we don't even second guess it. It just comes. You know what I'm saying? It's not hard for us to do that. You know what I'm saying? Any and everybody, you could go on any and every corner of the city of New Orleans, somebody within that corner or on that block plays some instrument. I don't care if they're carrying a drumstick, tuba, a trumpet. It's something. Even you look at, if you ever been to the second line to where the band is playing and just the people that's dancing, they gonna pick something off the ground and just rock with them. It's just in the nature. They don't. Some may pick up a stick and a bottle and just start going on with the band. Somebody may pick up an old stop sign and get a nail and just start. They gonna find a way to add to what was going on. It's just second nature, and it's nothing that we second guess. And it's just like our music. We get up in that and we go in. Period. And that's why the music that we make is just so influenced. Like, you gotta look at all the production that's out today. They're like children of Me, Fresh, Odell, Moby Dick, Craig B, and you know what I'm saying, of the pound. It's like, it's just that we just put something out there, and it's just a blessing that it lasts this long. You know what I'm saying? To where we waited for the longest, just hoping that when the South gonna get their time to shine, because it started the East, went to the West, Midwest, and when it finally got to us, that was a wrap. Because when we make music, we make it for us, not even caring about everybody else. So, and when they got a load of it, boy, look. And I think that's the problem with the East Coast, because you gotta understand that, like, this is where it all come from. I'm influenced by Rick Rubin, Beastie Boys first album. He was nothing but bass. Mantronic is my favorite producer ever. I don't give a damn who they say. Dre, Timbaland, Pharrell, man, look. What that man did with a drum machine back then, without technology, just think if he had this now, then, man, look. Boy, look. You don't understand. They talking all this here, like, that man made, when he did beats, he did beats. I'm telling you, everybody talking all this, man. Like, and I would not. I tell it to anybody, whoever they say that their greatest producer. I say, ask whoever your greatest producer about this man. You never see God's. That's why you never see him. That man influenced me and Manny is students of him. We are his sons, hands down. Fresh and take the same thing. Ask him. Mantronics. I don't give a damn what they say about anybody else. Dre, you name them. You name the greatest producer. To me, Mantronics, hands down. Man, look, boy, look. I tell them that too. Hurt their feelings too. I don't care. Period. Mantronics, wherever you are, you're looking at your son. You know what I'm saying? I came off you. I followed and studied everything you've ever done. I have over 75 million records under my belt because of you. So, at least that's what P said. I know we did at least 50 to 60. I don't know where the rest of them come from. Maybe telling on itself. Might have to take them back to court behind that other 10. But, thank you. You know what I'm saying? I learned from you. I'm a student of you. And another thing, Mantronic, he was the one that signed EPMD, if people didn't know. Boom. You heard me?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now switching to the smoking section, they want a quick, 2-3 minute thing they can put up on the website that's an unedited video, just really quick about Kanye. So you already did the long version. I hate to have to make you redo any of that, but basically where the beat came from, how it was produced, why you chose C Murder for it, the reception, why so many DJs were banning it at the time, refusing to play it, and then how you feel about Kanye.
Well, first of all, it's like, I come from an era of hip hop to where sampling was a big deal of it. I really didn't sample. I only sampled what I couldn't get played. It's very rare that I would just sample somebody's music. But when it was just that moment, like I was in the studio just working, and I was going through some records, Barry White, Isaac Hayes, Earth, Wind and Fire, because those three right there, strings and horn, Earth, Wind and Fire brass section, and Isaac Hayes and Barry White string section. That was my whole career. You know what I'm saying? So I was just up in there, and C just called and put the pressure. It wasn't the fact that song was something that happened just on a fly. It didn't take a thought of doing it, because like I said at first, is that when he called, I heard the urgency in his voice. Whatever ticked him off, he was meaning to get that out quick. So, like I said, the minute he called me and said, "Call Magic, I'm on my way, have something ready," it's just that I already had enough in the machine to work with. So I just started hitting buttons. So as I'm pressing buttons, hitting record, and this and this and this, I'm just putting everything in on the fly. So by the time when he got there, I stopped doing what I was doing and just played it for him. He listened to it, okay, let's record it. So as I was, putting it, recording it to aid that, he just started writing the hook. So after he did that, Magic came in. He ran the hook to Magic. That's all he needed to hear, because the beat already was driving him. And Magic just started going, and he did his verse. Magic got up in there, had a cigarette, had his hat, just going and just running. That's how he always was. That song probably didn't take an hour, no more than 2 hours, because we mixed it in LA. But just the whole fact what it took for them to come up with everything, and him calling me and getting the song down, and they laying their parts and this and this and this and this. Cause C Murder, he was in the military. So when he prepared of doing the song, it was damn like protocol to where he have it mapped out. He'll have the song written. He'll have all his ad libs highlighted and all of that. So when he went in, he knew exactly what was gonna be said, what song or what words that he was gonna ad lib, and he just got in. Magic. He just went in, laid what he laid, and just played it back and just flew through his ad libs, and now it's the rap. You know what I'm saying? And it's like when I talked to Snoop about it, Snoop told me, he said, "Nephew, I owe you for life for this one, because you gave me a classic Southern record." You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I can always come down south and have a record that I know when I perform, I'm gonna rock it. And the thing about it, Snoop come and don't even do his verse. He don't. He'll do C verse, and he'll do Magic verse. But one of the biggest highlights was when I signed the deal. When me and Craig B. Odell and Moby, when we signed the deal with Asylum Records, we met Joey. He was like one of the heads over there with him and Todd, and Joey and Funk Master Flex was like this. So when me and Joey talking, he found out that I do that record. He said, "Man, don't you know this Funk Master Flex favorite record?" I'm like, "What, that?" He said, "I'm like, for real?" He said, "Yes, indeed." I'm like, "Damn." And that's when, when Flex, because they say when Flex drop a bomb on it, that was like the world was going to hear it. But when he told me that was Flex one of his biggest records, I'm like, hey, I didn't touch New York.
Well, what was everybody's reaction to getting, so many DJs refusing to play it because of the issues involved?
Nah, if they refused to play the record, it probably more of what the hook was saying. And it depend on where you was playing it. Down south, you didn't have no issues at all with that record. But in certain clubs, they had issues because just of the subject matter of what was being said on the hook. And that was pretty much it, you know what I'm saying? So it really didn't stop because it was an underground record that caught mainstream. And once that go there, it don't even matter. They can say what they want. The record gonna do what it's gonna do. And it was to the point to where the record got to the point to where Jermaine Dupri shot the video in Atlanta. He paid for the video to be shot. You know, you on So Def shooting a video for No Limit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that was out the box. You know, out of the ordinary. That, you know, Jermaine. But the record, it deserved that look. You know, Jermaine and Snoop was cool. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that Jermaine Dupri wanted to do.
So what do you think about Kanye, about the new track that uses it?
Man, when I first heard it, a friend of mine at Inf called Spin. Spin called me and say, bro, you know, Kanye used your record. I use what record? He said, the Down for My Niggas record. I'm like, man, get out of here. He said, man, hold on. He called Inf. Yeah, bro, you know, Kanye used your record. And I'm out of town, right? So Spin was like, okay, give me a minute. I'm going to send it to you. So in the process of Spin sending it to me, my partner, Tommy Two-Face out of New York, called me. Yo, B, you know, Kanye used your record out. Like, use what record? I already knew, though, but, because Spin just told me, it's like 5 minutes apart, you know, because when Spin told me, it didn't even sink in. So when Spin told me, and then Tommy Two-Face told me, Tommy Two-Face, look in your email, I sent it to you already. He said, you check your email, so while Spin sending it to me, Tommy Two-Face sent it to me. So I don't know which one got to me first. I just opened it up. I listened to it. I was like, wow. It's just, you know, the type of caliber of artist with Kanye, he's beyond an artist. You know, just like Jay-Z is not Jay-Z. He's Beyonce's husband. He ain't just a rapper no more. You know what I'm saying? Kanye, Kardashian, that's the soul lady, but, you know, when you get that high in the game, you know, it just, your status just turned different. You know, so, but it's like when I heard it, one of the first things came to my mind was, boy, we got to make sure Magic get his cut off this record. That was like the first thing came to mind. I called Musa, man, you heard that record? He said, yeah, Spin sent it to me already. So like, when he did it and when he told me, I said, man, look, we got to make sure Magic gets straight off this record because we never knew how his publishing went with P. You know what I'm saying? We don't know where his money is going off something like this. So that was like my first thing about it. And just this record, man, this record fell in a situation like this. This how funny it is. I did this admin deal. So right before the record came up, like 2 days, my deal was, like 2 days before the record came up, my deal was done. So now you gotta call me to negotiate an extension on the deal of me having a placement on a Kanye record. Boy, you talking about somebody that show their ass? Boy, look, man, look, I'm gonna think about it because I knew what it was like being in a publishing admin situation when the Move Bitch record dropped that I did for Luda. I saw the type of money that came in when nobody didn't have nothing on his record but me. Man, you gotta understand, just Move came out in 2002. When they did, and it's just ironic that it was always licensed in a Will Smith movie. You know what I'm saying? When they did the Hancock movie, they paid me like 50 grand to use it to promote on YouTube. Another 75 grand to use it to promote just on regular TV for the movie. And then 150 grand to use it in the movie off a song that's more than 10 years old. So this is what I be trying to tell the people, the importance of publishing. So it's not like the record is going the album that it's on is still gonna sell those kind of numbers when it was hot. It's just after the fact when these people want to use your music and shit like this is when it counts. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand, like when you hear a Beatles record on car commercial, they probably paying them people like $500,000. You know what I'm saying? Let alone when they get on Cox or on cable network and they playing the movies and the song is spinning in the movie. Like you getting paid like it's a record being played. You know what I'm saying? So and it was like that kind of like with, the Kanye record. Like when I heard it, that's just like me just about to get paid for work that I've done at least 13 years ago. But just the fact that it was on a Kanye record and knowing how bad I wanted to work with him. Because me and Kanye talked. Like, remember the time when he got in an accident and broke his jaw? Like, right before then, he and I was in baseline. Me, him, Beast by the Pound, and Jay-Z. We were just up in there. And we were just out there, shopping the deal. And we just so happened that the guy that did the engineering named Pat, he knew Guru. And Guru, he put the call in and put it to Jay. And Jay was like, man, let him come. So we went up in there and we talked, and I talked to Kanye and I kind of just couldn't do nothing but watch him grow into the artist he is today, and just the fact that he used my record, you know what I'm saying, and that's like big, you know what I'm saying, and man, look, that was probably like one of the biggest moments, of anybody wanting to use it, other than when Quincy Jones was about to do an album. His son QD3 was like the A&R of the record, and they called me. He wanted, because he heard the Move Bitch record. He wanted me to redo another record similar to that. But after I produced the record, he was gonna get his orchestra to replay it live. But he never put the record out.
Why do you think the beat has become so epic? Because it really has. It's one of those, very few epic classic songs. Why do you think it has?
It's driven. You know what I'm saying? It's a beat that's driven to where it has a drive to it. It's one of those ones that when you hear it, every rapper would want to rap on it. Because the guy Flex, I don't know where he is, to he questioned Redman, because he was doing a documentary on me. So he was just going around just asking people about, because Redman didn't know who in the hell I was. But when he told him about the beat, Redman was like, man, you know what? That beat there, he said, I don't know who that cat KLC is, but he said that kind of beat make it easy for a rapper to write. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I seen Mystical in studio trying to force the issues of things that he was trying to adapt to. Opposed to when you give him something that gonna push him, he gonna get in it. You know what I'm saying? And my job is like me being a DJ first, I'm the kind of music that I make what I would play in a club. And that's why I think my job is just, kind of become an ease to me about doing what I do. You're welcome. Mantronics, peace.